It's 1999, and two Stanford PhD students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, are sitting in a dorm room tinkering with a new search engine they've created. They call it Backrub. They are convinced it's a revolutionary, but they are struggling to monetize it. So they decide to sell it. They approach Excite, one of the biggest search engines at the time, and offer to sell their technology for just $1 million. Excite's CEO, George Bell, turns them down. Why? He thinks the price is too high. Fast forward a few years, and that little search engine, now called Google, is worth over $1 trillion. It's a footnote in tech history. Now, this is just one of the examples of smart people making some dumb move. Excite CEO was no doubt, undoubtedly, a smart man as of that time. Even the smartest people can make jaw-dropping dumb decisions. Let's jump into this fascinating, hilarious, and sometimes tragic world of intelligent people making not so intelligent choices, all based on real life stories. First of the reason why people make this kind of jaw-dropping mistake is overconfidence. Overconfidence can be a trap in many cases. In 1912, the Titanic was hailed as the most advanced ship ever built. Its engineers were so confident in its design that they declared it unsinkable. They even skimped on lifeboats, believing they won't be needed. But on its maiden voyage, it first sailed, the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank, taking over 1,500 lives with it. So if you look into these very dumb ideas of providing not enough safety berths, you'll find out that the engineers are very, very confident of what they do. They are very, very confident of their design, and the engineers' overconfidence blinded them to potential risk of what they did. They assumed their brilliance made failure impossible. Now, let me tell you, there's this effect, a psychological effect called Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains that the more competent you are, the more likely you are to overestimate your abilities. Smart people think, I've got this, even when they don't. They used to feel like, I've already got it. No need to waste more time on it. When actually they don't. Sometimes I know you, the person watching this video, might probably be doing this. Another reason why this kind of stuff happens is there's something we call analysis paralysis. That is when thinking too much goes wrong. In 2000, Blockbuster was the king of video rentals. Netflix, then a fledgling DVD by mail services, approached Blockbuster with an offer to sell itself for $50 million. Just $50 million. Blockbuster's executives spent months analyzing the deal. They debated, crunched numbers, and overthought every possible scenario. By the time they decided to pass on the offer, Netflix had moved on. Fast forward to today, Netflix is worth over $200 billion, and Blockbuster is bankrupt. Now, if you look into this, Blockbuster's leaders overanalyzed the situation, leading to analysis paralysis. They couldn't pull the trigger on a decision that seemed risky at the time. So there's something psychologically behind this as well, and that is cognitive overload. Cognitive overload happens when the brain is bombarded with too much information. Instead of making a quick, effective decision, smart people get stuck in a what-if scenarios. The third on the reason smart people make dumb mistakes is emotional blind spots. When IQ triumphs IQ. Napoleon Bonaparte was a military genius who conquered most of Europe. But in 1812, he made one of the worst decisions in military history, invading Russia. Despite warning about Russia's brutal winters, Napoleon pressed on. His army of 600,000 men was decimated by cold, hunger, and guerrilla warfare. Only 10% of them survived. So, why does this happen? If we look into this, it's obvious Napoleon's ambition and ego clouded his judgment. He was so focused on expanding his empire that he ignored the emotional and logistical realities of the situation. So, the psychological reason behind this is what we call emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is just as important as IQ. Without it, even the smartest people can make decisions that are emotionally tone deaf. The fourth on the reason here is the cost of knowledge. That is, when smart people forget how to explain. In 1985, Coca-Cola decided to change its formula and launch New Coke. The company's executives were convinced that the new formula was superior. They conducted countless tests and focus groups, all of which confirmed their belief. But when New Coke hit the market, it was a disaster. Customers hated it, and Coca-Cola was forced to bring back the original formula just 97 days later. The reason this happened was Coca-Cola's executives were so deep in their data that they forgot to consider the emotional attachment people had to the original Coke. So, the cost of knowledge is when someone assumes others know what they know. They can lead to poor communication and decisions that don't consider the bigger picture. I hope we understand this. And the fifth of the reason why smart people make dumb decisions is when smart people follow the crowd. In the early 2000s, the housing market was booming, and everyone in the financial industry was making money. But a few smart people, like investor Michael Burry, saw the warning signs of a housing bubble. Despite Burry's warning, Most Wall Street executives ignored him. They were too caught up in the groupthink of the era, believing the market would keep rising forever. When the bubble burst in 2008, it triggered the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. And groupthink led to Wall Street's brightest mind to ignore obvious risk. They prioritize fitting in over standing out. And the psychology behind this is social conformity. Social conformity is a powerful force. Smart people, despite their intelligence, often prioritize fitting in over standing out. The sixth is the sunk cost fallacy, when smart people can't let go. In the 1980s, the Concorde supersonic jet was a marvel of engineering, but it was also a financial disaster, costing billions to develop and operate. Despite mounting losses, Britain and French government continued to fund the project. Why? Because they had already invested so much money and prestige into it. The Concorde was finally retired in 2003, having never turned a profit. The reason why this happened is the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy made it hard for decision makers to cut their losses. They were too invested in the project to let it go. And the psychological reason behind this is the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy makes people cling to failing endeavors because they've already put so much into them. Smart people are especially prone to this because they hate feeling like they have wasted resources. The seventh of the reasons is the halo effect. That's when smart people assume everything else is smart too. Steve Jobs was a visionary who revolutionized technology with the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. But even he wasn't immune to dumb decisions. In 1985, Jobs was ousted. He was chased out of Apple. He was fired from Apple after the failure of Apple Lisa, a computer that was overpriced and underpowered. Jobs had been so confident in his vision that he ignored feedback from his team and customers. And the reason why this happened is Jobs' brilliance in one area led him to assume he was brilliant and right about everything. The halo effect blinded him to his own limitations. The halo effect is when we let one positive trait, maybe intelligence or something positive, overshadow everything else. Smart people can fall into this trap too, assuming their brilliance extends to all areas, including where it even doesn't. These are a few of the reasons that I know for now. So the thing here is, intelligence is a powerful tool, but it's not foolproof. Smart people make dumb decisions for the same reasons everyone else does: emotions, bias, and the occasional brain fart. The key takeaway here is no matter how smart you are, humility, self-awareness, and a good laugh at your own mistakes can go a very long way. So next time you see a genius doing something dumb, remember, even Einstein probably made some dumb decision in the past, probably forgot where he put his keys.